Good morning, evening, or afternoon, and happy holidays. You're listening to Brownsville Matters, KXIQ 105.1's radio podcast, where we learn a little bit about everything from all walks of life on the border by the sea. Our next guest believes in seeing the best in everyone and encourages turning potential into actuality. She's primarily a college counselor here in a local high school, but is also heavily involved in several organizations in and around town that add value to the community. And today I am privileged to call her a dear friend. I know her, but I don't know her. So let's know her together. Abril Flores, welcome to Brownsville Matters.
Thank you, Gilbert, and that was such a beautiful introduction.
So let's start things off with a little bit of a curveball question to get the creative juices flowing,
Right.
as I like to do. As a college counselor, you encourage your students to explore what they want to be when they grow up. As you know, in a lot of cases, life makes us adapt, and we may have a line of work that has nothing to do with what we wanted to do when we were teenagers. So, Ariel, when you were growing up, what did you want to be when you grow up? And is that any way, shape, or form similar to what you're doing right now?
That's an excellent question. I first would like to tell you I'm actually the director of college counseling.
Wonderful.
And I have a team, but I think about this question all the time because my students ask me, well, what did you want to be? Did you always want to be this, what you're doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And no, actually, I wanted to be a photojournalist for National Geographic. My mom would usually take us to the library where they had Friends of the Library. And as you know, if you've ever been there, you can buy magazines, books for 25 cents, 10 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I would gather like all of my coins and I would take them, and my mom would go off, right, looking at books, and I would go to the Friends of the Library.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I discovered National Geographic magazines. And I remember spending hours upon hours just looking through the photos and looking through the emotion that the pictures evoked.
Mm-hmm.
And usually these were pictures of places where photojournalists went into war, conflict, and they were documenting all of these things. And I decided to read up on it with like, what is this profession, right? What is the point? How can I do this? And ultimately that really inspired me to want to do the same and document the same things and evoke the same emotion that I was getting from being a middle school kid and like looking through pictures of war and conflict. And then I remember looking at the TV and watching all of these different conflicts. And I remember telling my mom, I want to do that. I want to be the photographer that documents that so that people can know what's going on in the world. Ultimately, I didn't end up doing that. And that's something that I hold dear to my heart because I believe the power of pictures and what it can do for people and what worlds it could show to kids who are from the Valley, right? Or anywhere. But ultimately, that's not what I'm doing now. But that is what I wanted to do growing up.
Interestingly enough, Abril, I also wanted to be a Nat Geo photographer
growing
up. Yes, but more so from the nature side.
Oh, got it.
Yes, they're also
I could see that.
Yeah, highly renowned for their nature photography. I have always been into birds. Growing up in an area that is world renowned for its birds. It was a hobby that I've been carrying since middle school, high school.
Oh my goodness.
To the present day. So yeah, but that line of work also called to me.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I don't know what it was. I think it's important when kids at that age are exploring these things because it could mean the entire trajectory changes for a kid or it inspires a kid. So I think it's interesting that you mentioned middle school because it was middle school for me too.
Yes.
I was in 7th, 8th grade, like looking through these magazines, and I think we don't give it a lot of attention when we should. Like kids are starting to think about these things so early on, and it's important to nurture like these interests and really try to guide them to what they want. So yeah, that's cool.
Wonderful. I like how we're starting off this conversation. So, Abril, let's talk about your origin story. Were you born and raised here in Brownsville? What was your relationship with Brownsville? What was your life growing up? Tell us about the early stages of Abril Flores' life.
Oh my goodness. I say this often, but I was born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. Yes. I remember living on Fronton Street in front of Skinner. I went to Skinner. And then thereafter we moved to West Washington Street. And I think that was a pivotal moment in my life, especially because we spent so much time going downtown. I remember we didn't have a car, and my mom, it was myself and my three other siblings, but we would walk from West Washington, which is by Sam Stadium, all the way downtown when there was an H-E-B. And we would get our groceries there. We would also do our shopping at Payless. We would go to the segundas that used to be there with the piles and piles of clothes. And that was where we were really raised, right? And I think for me, when I think about that time, that is what I think about when I think about growing up in Brownsville. I remember going back to our home with each of us carrying 2 bags each, one of bread, one of fruit and stuff like that. But then we moved to North Brownsville. And I believe that's where I first saw my shift in my education. I was going to Skinner, then I was going to Benavides, and it was just a different vibe and a different culture. And I think that was my first realization that maybe some things, right, we don't have some things in some areas and we do have some things in some other areas for whatever the reason might be, right? But I went to school here in Brownsville, did education, public education. I ended up staying here in the Valley because I had my daughter. I went to TSC and then UTB, did history and government. So double major. Shout out to Dr. Medrano and Dr. Fisher. And there was another biology professor that I really enjoyed, but they were really the ones who inspired me to learn more about my community and learn about the history of my community, especially Dr. Medrano. And then thereafter I joined Teach for America, and then like the rest is history. But that's the very fast pace history lesson of who I am and me here in Brownsville.
Wonderful. Now, remind me, are either of those teachers the ones that inspired you to look up to President Harry Truman?
No, actually it was neither of them. It was Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams, I lie. It was Dr. Sullivan.
Dr. Sullivan.
It was Dr. Sullivan. He had us... No, I lie. It was Dr. Figueroa. There you go. He was a government professor. Figueroa. And he had us do a role-playing kind of thing where you had to embody a president and you had to come up with solutions to our current problems based off of the platform that they had during that time. And for some reason, I selected Harry Truman. I can't remember what it was.
Incredible president.
I didn't know anything about him. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna embody this guy. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be President Truman. And I ended up learning so much about him that I was like, oh my God, he's like amazing.
He really is.
Besides everything else that people know about him, right? And the war and dropping the bomb and all these things. I'm not like condoning any of that. But I did learn a lot of the programs that he tried to implement.
Yes.
And I read through some of his writings and some of his, because he was an avid writer and an avid reader. And it's funny enough because my brother, he lives in Missouri and he lived near Independence where his home was. So I went to, so I even went so far as to go visit his house. It's a museum now. It's a museum now. And I was able to just look at all of his stuff and see his coat still hanging on his hat and where he would sit to drink tea and coffee. And I was like, this can't be true.
Yes.
But it was such a full circle moment because if it wasn't for Dr. Figueroa's class, who Dr. Figueroa, I think he's in New York now. But if it wasn't for that class and pushing me to challenge myself and how do I make this model, right, in history work for now, I wouldn't have this appreciation, right, for Harry Truman and like history and the things that we have in that exploration. So I'm very grateful that my brother lived in Missouri so that I could go see his house, Truman's house, and like just really kind of close out that full circle moment.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yes.
That's so random, right?
No, I love it. I love it. Because it's something that makes you you. I don't think I've ever met someone who appreciates Harry Truman specifically as much as you do. Yes. I mean, I don't know too much about him besides the fact that he was heavily involved in several community organizations, fraternal organizations. But on top of that, he had a very normal upbringing for his time. And just the fact that someone like him could become president of the United States is something very admirable.
I think that's partially what it is. Because of his background, he wasn't coming from this super wealthy family or super like elite, family or anything like that. It was just him being him. And eventually he became the president, and then he came back, right? And he just kind of chilled out at home after he finished his presidency, and that was his life. And I think there's something that I definitely resonate with that. It's like you can come from anywhere, right? Doesn't matter. Well, might potentially matter, but that doesn't mean that you can't change the outcome of your life.
And make some very important decisions.
Yes,
too. Very important decisions.
Exactly. So I think that's where I resonate the most with him.
Wonderful. Okay, now let's talk about your line of work.
Okay.
You are the director of college counseling. So not just any college counselor. You're the director of college counselor who leads a team of college counselors.
Yes.
Ooh, what is that like?
Yes. First of all, my team is amazing. Yes. I have 2 college counselors on my team, and then we have 1 teacher that supports through college readiness in 10th and 11th grade. And I could not do the work without them. I think that the work itself is something that I wouldn't have thought about doing ever in my life. But I think that once I went through my master's program, it opened the door to the things that I could do and the things that I could offer to my community and to my students. The work itself, what I do is, besides access to college education, I support my students and our families through the college application process. So you think about the personal statement, you think about teacher's letters of recommendation, counselor letters of recommendation, supplemental transcripts, all that stuff. We help our students in ensuring that they apply to the schools that match and fit their interests, right? Apart from that, we support in the financial aid process. FAFSA is a whole different thing that not many people might understand because it's not very user-friendly. Even sometimes I remember doing it and I'm like, what am I doing? And now I understand why I was selected for verification so many times in college. And so we support in making the process easier to understand for our families and our students, because we found that it's not that simple. Not that it's impossible, but it's not that simple to go through these things. And like, it's easy to miss something. And if you put something incorrectly, then that could determine, a negative impact in your application or in your financial aid. And then apart from that, we help once they got their admissions, their FAFSA application submitted, we support them through the registration process of whether it's orientation, classes. Hey, do you have everything that you need? Are you ready to go? And then we also ensure that they set foot on that college campus on that first day. I think that's incredibly important, like as a first gen student. I remember first going to TSC and I'm like, what is this? Where am I going? Am I going to be late? And I think just having that one person to be able to support in ensuring that you're going to be okay, it's going to be okay, take the next step. I think that's valuable, right? And I'm truly grateful that I get to do that with my team. Apart from that, we do ACT testing, TSI testing, all the other logistical things. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed doing this year, besides everything that I'm doing right in my line of work, is really trying to build a culture with my students. Yes. And I think you've seen it already, where I'm the sponsor for the National Honor Society. But my goal is now that I have this position. And now that I'm able to do these things, my goal is like, how can I invest in my students to develop skills, to develop mindsets where they're also going to be, which they already are, but amazing leaders in our community, right? How am I fostering those skills right now where they're at, because they're totally capable of doing those things, so that eventually I know that when they leave, they're going to continue doing that wherever they go. And I think it just reminds me, right, of like, I want to be the person that I would have loved to have, right, and pushing me and challenging me and really developing those things in me. So, yeah.
Wonderful. To rewind a little bit in your timeline, at what point in your life did you decide, okay, this is something I would like to pursue? Because we were talking about the ever-changing options that we have professionally. When did you decide, okay, I want to encourage kids to make the most out of their lives after high school?
Yeah, I think that once I got into Teach for America, it was really a shift in the way that I viewed education, because now I was looking at it as, how can we ensure that everyone has access to education, but also an equitable education? But that was my first kind of thought, right? I wasn't really thinking about what can everyone else do. I was thinking more about, what can I do? But then when I was in my master's program, that's when I think I had this shift of like, no, I might be doing this all wrong. Like, it's not necessarily about what I'm doing, but how can we encourage and leverage and work with our families and our students with what they're already bringing to the table, right? And that's when I had a whole shift of like, okay, I need to pause and I need to bring them to the table, and I need to see how I can support in not necessarily telling them what to do, but more of like, come to the table, tell me what you know, let's see what your strengths are, what your skills are, let's work with that, and like, you can go and you can run. I'm going to give you this and I'm going to trust you, and let's see where that goes. And for me, that was the pivotal moment of that class that I had, where it's like, our community and our students and our families already have all of these amazing values and assets and skills and all these amazing things that they're bringing to the table. Why not? Like, why are we not using these things and leveraging them and bringing them to the table to do these things? And so for me, like, that was a moment where like, I get it now. I understand education. Well, I don't understand like all the issues, but I know where I can go to make it better within my control. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, you mentioned Teach for America a couple of minutes ago, which reminds me of your very extensive resume of all the organizations.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, but I can imagine how long it is.
It's only one page.
How small is the type?
9 Times New Roman.
I feel like one of the things that really makes you is the fact that you are heavily involved in all these fabulous community organizations, and how you're able to learn a little bit from each and every one of them, and not just use them to it's not just you adding value to those organizations, but you learning from these other organizations to add value to the others.
Oh,
yes. So,
snaps.
So can you tell us a little bit of some of your organizations that you're a part of, and what they're about, and what you've learned from them?
I would have brought my resume so we could go down the list. I think that's, you beautifully pointed it out about finding value in other spaces and not just taking, not just giving, but also taking in a way where you're learning and then bringing it to other spaces.
Yes.
I think that's beautiful, because that is exactly what I'm doing.
Yes.
I actually learned that from one organization that I joined. I was in the cohort for the New Leaders Council here in South Texas. And that's an expansive chapter, because it goes from Brownsville all the way to Laredo. And there was one session that they had when I was a class member, and it was about asset mapping. And I had never heard of that. I had never heard of that, right? And I can't remember who led it, but I do remember the activity where they had us list all of the different things that were available to us within our proximity. So I had to list my address, and then I had to say, okay, within my address, there's a bus stop, there is a library, there is a resaca, there is a trail. And so I was able to identify like all of the good things or all of the valuable things, right? But then I was also able to see where are the things that I might be lacking in where I live. And it really helped to reshift my mindset of like, I need to view things in a way where there are so many assets around us. It's just a matter of identifying them and seeing how we can utilize these things to make other things better. And that's what I implemented throughout my experience in these organizations. And so for me, whenever I join an organization or a club or I decide to go somewhere, I think about like, what am I going to learn from this experience? I want to be intentional about the things that I'm doing because I'm so limited with time. I spend a lot of time at work. I want to be able to really think through the experiences that are not only going to serve me, but are also going to serve my students and my families, right? Or even my children. And so NLC was one. And I think that's what opened the door to look at all these other things. So I'm part of the board for Leadership Brownsville, which is awesome. I absolutely love that group. I think when I think about leaders in Brownsville and I think about everything that is in Brownsville, I think about Leadership Brownsville. Yes. I do think it was an experience for me to be able to see all these other sectors in Brownsville. And I think that's important, especially when you just work in one field. Like I'm in education. I only see education stuff. And so for me, like I really enjoyed and opened my eyes to see all these other components, but it also, what Leadership Brownsville did for me is I was able to form connections among sectors and really understand that all of these sectors feed into each other, right? Yes. So education is government, it's economic policy, it's media, it's the environment. Right. And I thought through, okay, like I have all this information. So like, what do I do? Right. And I bring it back to my kids. Right. And so there's a component to Leadership Brownsville. If you whoever is part of it, where you do have a civic requirement or civic requirements and a project that you have to complete. Yes. So now my NHS kids are required to do that because of this. So now they've had their own projects, and it's amazing to see their stuff and what they want to do, but really it goes back to how am I bringing this back to my kids and to my students. And then apart from that, obviously Brownsville Toastmasters, which is my absolute favorite because that's what really serves me. And because of Toastmasters, I've met wonderful people like yourself, right? Hey. Gianna, Ali, Myra, like Robert, like all these amazing people. And it's been, not only has it helped me and developed me as a leader in my public speaking and whatnot, but it is a place where I've learned to find community with other people. And like, I love Brownsville, right? And I love everything about it, but I also love this community of people who are just getting together, trying to develop a craft, improve on it, and laugh through it all. So that's one of my favorites. Teach for America, I'm still part of the Alumni Board. So I'm actually the chair of the TFA RGV Alumni Board. And what that means is that we're building and creating events for alumni and by alumni. We just recently had our Mindful Educators Summit not too long ago, where we opened it up to all educators in the Valley to, just find a moment for them to build practices in mindfulness and whatnot. And then we're going to have a reunion too in February. So it's just like, this is something that I continue doing because I do believe that Teach for America opened the door for me to do all these other things. And I continue doing that one because of how much I believe in educational equity and the belief that our alumni like need things to continue the work, because it's not easy to continue being in education without having, the support and that alumni network to do that. What else am I doing? I'll probably, okay. Yes, how can I forget about this one?
Please.
TEDx Brownsville.
Oh my gosh.
How did I forget? There's just like, I should have brought my resume. Might have been notepad.
Well, it still hasn't started yet, right?
Okay. No, it hasn't.
Oh, well, that's
it
right.
hasn't. It hasn't. But we're working towards potentially having a summer event. But it was one of those things where I'm like, why not? Why haven't we had this in such a long time?
Right.
Like, why not?
Yes, now's the time.
Right.
Now's
the time. I saw you do it, right, with your series. Remind me what they were called.
Chautauqua on the Rio.
Chautauqua on the Rio.
Yes.
And that was beautiful, right? So why not? And I think that's my motto for a lot of things, right? Why not?
Yes.
¿Por qué no?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué no lo haces? But that's beginning. We're super early still brainstorming planning phase, but that's another thing that I'm going to bring in some of my students to support in the planning of it, because I want them to be able to have these experiences that are meaningful, but are also pushing them to do like amazing things. And if I have the platform, like, why not? Like, why not? So that'll be the last one for now. And then maybe in the summer, I usually tend to regroup. And I lay out all the things that I'm doing, and then I decide whether I need to step out of things that are no longer serving me. And not in the way because they're bad or anything like that.
Right.
But it's because, okay, like I did this thing, I learned, I gave, and now it's time to move forward to another experience, right?
Yes,
So
and give someone else a chance.
Yes, and give someone else a chance. I think that's incredibly important, right?
Right.
It's like, you know what? I love that you mentioned that, because I think it's if we want to continue pushing our community and building leaders, we need to give people a chance.
You have to empower others.
Exactly. Well, they actually have the power. It's just opening the door so that they're able to do that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I stepped out of some things. It's because I want to make sure that just like people gave me the opportunity to do things and be part of these things, I want other people to do the same thing, right? And continue growing, right? And investing in people.
You know, to your point, I've seen it happen where in the organizations that I'm a part of, I hear certain names whispered as if they are very legendary figures.
Oh, really?
They're usually charter members or people that added a significant amount of value in some way, shape, or form. And then once in a blue moon, they show up and people just roll out the red carpet for them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is you.
No, wait, I'm the red carpet.
Yes, you're on the red carpet.
No. Where did you hear my name?
No. Well, in the sense that I'm sure those organizations miss you. Yes, that's what I.
Man, I hope so. I really hope to, if I ever leave like an organization, right, to move on to something else, I hope that my time there, that people find value, right, in what I gave. Like I want to be of service, and I want to know that what I gave, right, was not necessarily good enough, but it was valuable, and that it wasn't like a waste of time for them. I'm very not critical, but very mindful, and I want to make sure that if someone gives me the time and the space to be part of that group, that I'm giving them all that I can and my best, my very best, because it's important to me, right? I did forget one organization.
Oh, please.
You might want to have to delete that. I'm also a board member of CDCB.
Wonderful.
And part of the reason why I wanted to join that is because of their mission, right, of affordable home ownership for people, especially here in the Valley.
Oh, that's important.
It's super important. Growing up, we our family couldn't ever really buy a house. And I think now being in education and seeing beyond in the classroom and seeing how things like maybe not having a home or not having access to certain things might impact a student's mental health or performance in school. And I wanted to be part of an organization that was supporting our families in obtaining home ownership. So yeah, that's another one.
Wonderful. Now, I feel like not a lot of people know that these opportunities for making an impact, making a difference in the community exist. I was joking with Rayan last time we were here that these groups, they're essentially the adult version of extracurriculars.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend to someone who is maybe looking to do something meaningful, something of value? Where should they start?
Where should they start?
Yes.
I'm thinking about how I started, and I think I'll say Toastmasters, right?
Yes.
The first one, because I think that was the initial organization that opened other doors for me,
Yes.
or not. It opened doors for me in a way where I felt confident to go out to other places. Just going online, going on social media, start to like a bunch of things from the city or things that you might not even be interested in, because at some point you're going to find something that you might like, and all you got to do is show up. So I remember seeing the Brownsville Toastmasters when you were at Carlota Petrina.
Yes.
And I remember seeing you on the pictures, and Myra and Hector and his son.
Yes.
And I was very intrigued. I was intrigued. And I remember thinking to myself, I really want to go there.
Yeah.
I really, really want to go there. And for me, I didn't go there until Leadership Brownsville, but I do think just having access to those social media posts really just kind of put it on my mental radar, where I was like, okay, this exists, so I'll do it eventually. But I think if you really want to start, is just go on Facebook, go on Instagram, start looking up all these different things that you might like, cycling, right? Reading books, going to different educational events, whatever that may be. Start liking those things, and you might have something that might interest you. And then most importantly, show up.
Yes.
I think that's the only thing. Even if you're like, I'm not going to participate, that's fine. Just show up, take a friend. You don't even have to take a friend, just take yourself, right? But that might be the turning point, right? To do all the things that you might be interested in doing. I know that we've seen it in Toastmasters where people just show up, and that's beautiful because they're taking that step of like, I'm just going to show up. And that is where I think that it starts, is just showing up.
Right. And then for a lot of these groups, a lot of them, especially if they're like meetups for a common interest, a lot of them are free.
Yes.
and then for more formal organizations, the fees may be something along the lines of $10 to $15, $20 a month. So if you sacrifice a Whataburger for the experience of adding value to the community, it is a very worthwhile endeavor.
No, for sure. I remember you would always say that about Netflix. Right?
Oh yeah, it's cheaper than Netflix.
No, you're right. And a lot of these things are free. The city's always putting out free events, right? And I think that's awesome because it gives you access to things that you might otherwise not have if you have to pay. And even if you do have to pay, there's sometimes waivers, and you might have to ask. There are solutions to problems.
Yes.
It's just a matter of asking.
Okay. I feel like one of the most overused questions is, what advice would you give to your younger self? But realistically, Abril, there are quite a few people listening who have family members that would be very similar to how you were growing up. Bless you.
Thank you.
I'll repeat the question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Now, it's a rather overused question. What advice would you give to your younger self? But realistically speaking, there are plenty of people listening who could have children or young people in their life with similar traits as you.
Okay.
What advice would you give to those kiddos, especially with your background as a director of counseling?
Man, I mean, I think professionally, right, I've achieved a lot of what I set out to do, but I don't think that was my mindset when I was younger. For me, I think that when I was younger, I was more of like, no, if I can't do this and I'm not going to be able to do this and I'm never going to do it. And I think I would have thought to myself, or the advice that I would have given to myself is like, pause, like pause. You have everything already in you. You have the drive, you have the ambition, the determination, the work ethic to be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Like you just need to own it, right? And push forward. And I think that's the advice that I would give. And that's the advice that I tell my students too, is like, hey guys, you might think these things about yourself, but no, like you can do whatever you set your mind to. If you have that work ethic, that ganas, that determination, that resilience, like it's going to be hard. That's not a lie, but you can do it.
Yes.
And that's what I think about. Like when I think about like Harvard, right? And I think about always having that like in the back of my mind, like I'm going to apply. But one thing or another, whether it was my own belief that I couldn't do it, or that I wasn't meant for those spaces, or that I didn't have the time, or I didn't have the credentials, or I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I needed to stop doing that to myself and take it, right. and take my story and take, what other people had imparted in me in terms of wisdom and guidance, like Dr. Fisher and Dr. Medrano and my parents, right? And really own it to achieve whatever I had set my mind to do. Yeah.
Wonderful. What would you say is the best tidbit of advice that's ever been given to you that you can impart upon us?
Oh my goodness. Oh, what advice? I say take care of yourself. Honestly, as you know, as you've heard, right, I do so many things that sometimes it's easy to lose sight of your own health and yourself. But I think it's something that people usually tell me, like, you got to self-care, take care of yourself and do this and do that. And I've always been like, yeah, like I'll do it. But I'm busy doing this, I'm doing this and doing that. And although it's so simple, and I think it's a little bit harder said than done, it's something that most recently I think this year where I've committed to doing that more often through cycling. Yeah. And so I cycle right often, and I cycle the trails usually, going down Belden and then the Palo Alto and then West Row. Like, I don't know, right at that point. But it's where I've found a grounding moment and peace in myself where it takes me back and it grounds me to be able to do all the other things. So it's my self-care and my way of taking care of myself.
Yes, I feel like the bike trails are very underrated. Yes. In fact, let me put it to you this way. One time when I visited Rhode Island, I took a más o menos equivalent of an Airbnb, and I spent the night in an asparagus farm.
Okay.
They had a lovely little cottage. Well, the owners were very avid bicyclists.
Okay.
They pulled out a magazine, and when I told them, they pulled out a magazine after I had told them that I was from Brownsville, they go, "Oh my gosh, no way! I was just reading about the Cara Trail system that's being proposed." I mean, this is when it was still a dream, a potential project. And these people in Rhode Island knew exactly what I was talking about when I said Brownsville, Texas.
Wow. Shout out to CDCB, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been actually seeing a few more individuals, but on certain days, obviously, the weather is hot and humid, but the trails are absolutely beautiful. nature, sometimes you see rabbits, I've seen snakes, not that that's beautiful, but like, but I think the ability, or just another asset, right, that we have, and is this trail that we have that's connecting like North Brownsville to downtown to Palo Alto. It's a beautiful trail.
Yes. And they're connecting it to Southmost eventually.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Again, it keeps adding to it. And I think eventually, right, it might be something where more people go to. I hope so.
Yes.
But the trails are beautiful. I highly recommend that it's about maybe like a little bit over 20 miles. But it is something that it's one of my favorite things about Brownsville. It's the trails that are here and that we have.
Oh, for sure. Very, very underrated. And even if it's just walking from point A to point B and back, everyone should do it at some point.
Yes. We should do like a things to do in Brownsville. Like these are the top 5 things. We should do that.
Yes, the trails should be up there. Our previous guest, Rayan Faruqi, mentioned you as one of the people that he looks up to.
Oh.
So I now ask the same question to you. Who do you credit for helping you become the woman you are today?
Oh my gosh. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I can list a lot of people, right? Obviously.
Sure.
Okay. And this is something that I learned from some girl or lady that she was part of a program that I was doing. And I remember her sitting down with me and telling me, when you're out there and you're thinking through your professional career or your personal, right, career, not career, but your personal life, sorry.
There you go.
You think about the people who are going to influence you, like a board, thinking about an executive board, how they help an organization. Very similar, right, with you. You should have a board of people who you can go to whenever you need advice or you need, guidance or like a mentor or whatever, right? And so I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. So like you're thinking intentionally about the people who are going to really help you grow and nurture you. And I thought through what that list looked like for me. First of all, it's going to be my family.
Yes.
Always my family. My mom, she imparted on me the work ethic and the resilience and the belief in helping others, even when you might not have things to give. And that's something that I've carried with me. As you know, like I strive to do my best in everything that I do. And it's because of her. So if you guys ever see her, right, like give her a shout out. She's amazing. She's not only helped me, but also helped out a lot of our friends when we were growing up. The other one, which I just recently talked to this morning, was my sister. My older sister. She was the first one to go to college. She went to the University of Houston. And she was also the first one to take me on the trail. And so she was like this person who opened the doors for me to see what was out there. And when she coming back from Houston, she would bring back music, culture, like all these other things that we've never eaten before. And I was like, oh my God, like this exists.
Yeah.
And so she helped me that. My brother, he is a game designer. And so just seeing that you can really do what you love. Yes. Like that was him. And then my younger sister, right? She's just my baby sister. So my family, right? And I think when I think about like other people, I also think about my professors here at UTB that I had at UTB, Dr. Medrano and Dr. Fisher, which I did write about them in my personal statement of purpose to Harvard.
Wow.
And because they really not only taught me right about my community, but they also challenged me and held the expectation of me doing my best. And I remember having conversations with like Dr. Medrano or Dr. Fisher, like, hey, like I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what do you think? I remember asking Dr. Fisher, do you think I can do this? Yeah. Like apply to Harvard? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, like absolutely. And to hear him say that as a professor was just very validating. And that's partially why I decided to do the jump, right, of applying. Apart from that, like most recently, my former principal, Dr. Sariñana, that's what I see her as, Miss Sariñana. Yes. She's just an amazing principal, but also someone who led with a lot of discipline, but also a lot of love for what she did. And she was a woman that like I truly admired because I had never really seen a woman in a position like that. I was like, oh my God, like I want to do that. Like, I want to be that. I want to evoke that emotion that I feel whenever I talk to her, whenever she coaches me or teaches me something or pushes me and asks me like these things. Mm-hmm. And so she helped really to craft like my mindset of like, no, like this is me and this is who I am. Yes. And I'm unapologetic about that. But apart from that, there's just been a lot of people. I admire you. I think I've learned a lot from you. I think I joke about this. I'm pretty sure I've told you this, but I also wanted to start a bookstore at some point. Oh. And I remember seeing your post, and I'm like, oh my gosh, someone is doing it, and he's doing it. And I'm like, I need to meet this person, right? And I remember you going right with your carrito books and like selling them. And always with the same positive attitude about what this could mean if you continue to nurture it and pursue it. And then you did, Gilbert. And I think that's something so like inspiring, especially to me when I still want to do so many things. Like I would love to open up a thrift shop at some point, right? But I think seeing you do the things and learn about your process as you're developing and continue to grow, that's beautiful and that's inspiring to me when I think about the things that I still have yet to do. Apart from that, there's so many other folks that I admire, but it goes back to what you said about the value, right? There's so much value in everyone, right? They bring so many things to the table. Even if they're not like the director or the CEO of something, everyone has something to bring and you can learn from other people. It is just a matter of like having that conversation, showing up and like making those connections. So, yeah.
Wow. A very, very wonderful list of credits. The credits at the end of the movie.
Oh, and my students. Obviously, my students.
The students. You can't forget the students.
I can't forget my students. Like I mad, like whenever they share something that's so good, like I got an acceptance, or hey, like I did this, or hey, like this and that, it like brings me so much joy. And it reminds you of like, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Because of them, right? And it's inspiring and it's beautiful and it's something that fills me with gratitude that I get to do, you know, what I love, and I get to help and I get to be there and be present for our students and our families too. Wonderful.
I also wanted to add just food for thought. You said you have aspirations of opening a thrift store. Well, just food for thought. Independent bookstores thrive in environments where there's other independent bookstores. Oh. You do with that information what you will.
Yeah, no, I think I've moved on from that. And I think that's part of life, right? I think it's knowing, okay, cool. And I think I realized, like, you know what? Like, that's amazing. Someone's doing it. I'm just glad that someone's doing it because it was about time that we had that. Yes. And then, like, you just became such a good friend throughout the process. But yeah, eventually, I think I still want to go back to school. I want to get my PhD.
Wonderful.
And maybe, like, we'll see, like, 15 years. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not in a rush.
All in due time. Okay, my final question to you, Abril. Imagine a giant auditorium, a stadium that fits 200,000 people.
Oh my goodness. Gilbert.
Every single person that lives in Brownsville is sitting on those seats. We're a town of 200,000 people. You are walking up to the 50-yard line, right in the middle, and you have a microphone. You're standing at the center of all of Brownsville with their eyes on you. If you had 1 to 2 minutes, think of it as a table topic. If you have 1 to 2 minutes to tell all of Brownsville something, a message, what would you say to all the people living on the border by the sea?
Man, I would love to say so much. Is this me like talking to them now?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. I wouldn't start it like that though. I would say that Brownsville is filled with not only culture, but stories of resilience, stories of love and dedication, and of values of family, and just like ganas and like a deep breath. And I think about all the good that is in Brownsville and all the people that are in Brownsville and how much love they have for what they do and their family. And that's something that's beautiful and inspiring that can be utilized to continue pushing our community forward and continue making it what it is now. I see it now, but it's like, how can you bring in what you have, bring it to the table so that everyone, right, can benefit from it? Because there's just so many amazing people, so many things that they bring, and there's so much value in whatever someone does, whether they're working, like I mentioned, back a director, or working as a welder, or working in something else, or whatever that may look like. We have everything that we need here.
Yes.
We really do. It's just, let's all come together. Let's access what we have, lay it out, and get it together and continue pushing forward.
Yes. The crowd roars. I mean, I feel like you beautifully embody everything you just said. To not just add value to yourself, not just add value to those around you, but you help add value to Brownsville to make this city great. Abril Flores, thank you so much for joining us today on Brownsville Matters.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Hi, KXIQ listeners. This is Michael Quantz with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts, here to tell you about our podcast, Brownsville Matters. Everyone in Brownsville has a story to tell, and these are the stories. We broadcast these stories every Friday at 5 p.m. and every Sunday at 3 p.m. on KXIQ 105.1 FM on your radio dial. You can also catch these stories rebroadcast on our YouTube channel for Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and smash the notifications if you want more information about these stories that you watch and listen to.